Okay, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is where you are. Let me know you can hear me and see me well. Sorry for the little delay. I actually have no excuse. I just waited till the last minute to prepare everything because I actually have been working on a bunch of important stuff. But here we are. Let me see, make sure. Oh, good. Okay. So I'm gonna be able to see your chat here on the screen, and I'm gonna be able to see my reference on the screen, which is also. Um, we'll get to it. Let me know if there's any audio, video issues. Um, Good. I am ready to roll. So thank you so much. Hey, let's see who's here. Pam, I've also seen a message from Marjorie, and for some reason, I can't see it now. So sorry, Marjorie. That's weird. It's some messages just disappear as soon as the live stream begins. I don't know why. So my apologies about that. So hey, Pam, how are you doing? Hey, John. Oh, by the way, Marjorie, I saw your email. I need to get back to you. Sorry about that. Hope you're doing well too, John. Hey, Adox, hearing and seeing just fine. Thank you so much. Thank you, John. Amy Lynn Hess, hope you're doing well too. So yeah, we're gonna continue the painting from last time, and we're gonna get the shadows in, which we started doing the last time. You see here, I'm looking there because my monitor is there for the streaming software. So as you can see, we started doing it back then, and the shadows are what's gonna make this look three-dimensional, look like it has volume to it, which is really important. Let me just make sure to organize it as best as I can. My setup is still wonky for the webcam here, but be happy here. There we go. Angle's a little angle is off. Sorry about that. I actually should receive soon my video capture card, so I'll be able to stream directly from my camcorder, the one I filmed videos with. I'm gonna be able to stream directly with. Now I do have to warn you. Sorry about the any weird audio. I do have to warn you. There are still rockets being fired at us. If you haven't heard, so I don't know. There may be an alarm, and we may have to run for shelter. Me and behind me. I don't know if you can see her. So you'll forgive me if it happens. We'll have to wait a couple of minutes there and then come back. So just letting you know. Sorry in advance if it ends up happening. Hey James. Hey Steve. Hey Lydia. Hey Amy. Suzanne. Hope you're doing well. Ruchi, how are you doing? Jill. I love that. The frog. It's Deja Vu. First time watching you live, watching from the Philippines. Thank you so much for being here. That's really, really cool. Always fun to see people from new first time watchers. So let's get started here. Should I zoom in? I think we'll be good for now. I want to have some freedom to put my hair in front of the camera. So sorry about that. I think what we'll do is just pick a spot and start painting there. So anything we haven't yet gotten to. It was so funny because the last time, hey Peaceful Tahiti, hope you're doing well. Last time we stopped, I was really in the mood. So, but I just had to go. So unfortunately, I could not continue at that time. Otherwise, I would have. So now that I'm looking at this, there aren't that many shadows to establish. So we can just choose a spot. Maybe we'll start here because I like this nice kind of neutral color. Just to get the windows looking nice. Let me zoom in a bit because I am going to be working on details. I have to do it from there. 1 second. Yeah, so I think that's going to be better. I have made our field of view a little smaller, but I think it's a decent trade-off. So I'm mixing a small amount here. I don't need much for this in particular. I just need enough to fill in that area. Now, when I'm looking at these windows, they actually appear like a neutral, almost green. So I'm gonna allow myself to just add a bit of neutral tint just to get a quick dark value. Then I'm gonna add a bit of phthalo and a bit of lemon yellow to it. So what we will get is a pretty much muted green. This is really like 90% accurate. And I'll get to it. You'll still be able to hear me well from afar as I paint. I should really improve the mic setup. Use a lav mic. My lines were incorrect, so I'm looking now and fixing it. Shape. Step here. Round. And it's these kinds of details that start giving it more form, right? I'm gonna move it because the text obstructs it. Apologies. And you'll notice that there are some darker areas within those. So I'm going to do those now. While it's a little moist, it's not super wet. But here. Darker. And it's really as easy as that, I would say. Now, I can use that same gray, get this line to be a little darker here. So I'm going to use this opportunity, similar color. Actually, I see a bit of wetness there, so I'm going to put a little water. And as I move down, I'll introduce paint. Now today I plan on finally going a little longer because we've been doing a lot of shorter streams lately. I want to give you one properly, so around 2 hours. And you know, if you have any questions about the process, I'm going to finish this window and then I'll look at some of what you're saying. But if you have any, again, questions about the process, you know, write them down and then I'll, as soon as I'm done, I'll. But yeah, this is the stage where I think things become a lot easier objectively. You're working on smaller shapes. The risk is almost lower. And I think a lot of people have trouble getting to this stage. It's the previous stages that give them trouble. If that's you, you know, check out again the previous live stream if you want to see how I began this. Not that I did a 100% perfect job, but I think it's a good place to start in that regard. And then once you manage to get that, then you're going to be able to get to a point where, again, it's these touches. They influence the end result a lot, but they're much easier to perform, actually. So let's see what you're saying in the chat. Cool, so we have a bunch of people from the Philippines. That's awesome. Ruchi, hi, this is his first time from India. Cool. Thank you so much for being here. Steve, my new art studio is all up now and just waiting for electricals. Just got back home from doing some shopping to kit it out. Awesome. The most important thing was the dog's new bed. yeah, that's a very important component, right? It's fun. Send me the setup once you're done. Very important. What are you gonna do for electricals? Like, what's the setup? Is it gonna be special lights or just regular stuff? I'm curious to hear. A bunch of dog lovers here. I'm begging for beginner for watercolor. Seriously, can someone give me some tips? Says Amy. Yeah, people will be nice. They'll give tips in the chat. I think the best thing ultimately you can do is experience the medium. You know, paint, feel it for yourself. That's where a lot of the growth is going to come from. And I think it will help you stay true to yourself, right? And make the stuff that you really enjoy. That's really important. Guys, let's support and give the video a like. Thank you so much. It's Deja Vu. Really appreciate it. If you can drop a like, that helps a lot. Also, if you're unsubscribed by chance, subscribe, please. You're going to get a bunch of cool stuff. More painting live streams and tons of videos as well. Thank you so much. Ryan T, good morning, afternoon, everyone from Sarasota, Florida. Cool. Edox, just start. Yeah, I agree. Yep, just start. Suzanne, what colors are you using? So very basic French ultramarine, phthalo blue, quinacridone rose. Barely used any of my pyrrole scarlet, but I do have that other palette for which, with which I painted the oranges using this cadmium light. Basically, it's an orange. That was a lot of the oranges you see here. And then lemon yellow and new gamboge. So I like to, you notice a pattern. I like to use like a warm and cool for every primary color, and that's pretty much the basic setup that has been serving me well over the last couple of years. I've been doing a lot of that. I like to mix it up once in a while, but that's the usual. That's what I'll usually go to. Buck, I ordered your frustration-free watercolor course last week. Love it. It is really helping to loosen up. Looking forward to more lessons. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That's amazing. That's amazing. If you have any questions, you know, email me. Sungun, hi. Buck, thank you for offering. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good one. Yeah, I've been all over the place in terms of thinking of new courses, but I realized that compared to the audience, to the amount of people that watch my videos and the amount of people interested in watercolor, there's still huge potential for the existing courses. So I'm actually slowing down on creating new things and focusing on bringing the existing products to more people. So yeah, I really hope if anyone hasn't gotten the chance to check it out, they will. Sungun, thank you so much. First time of yours as well. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. I would guess based on the text in your profile that you might be Korean, though I'm not sure. I do recognize Korean when I see it. Yeah, it looks Korean. But anyway, let me know where you're from if you want to. That's cool. Yeah, let's continue. So I'm thinking what's like a big shape, because now it's so funny. Right now when I look at it, I actually don't see many that I would like to add. I do see some details, of course. Let's work on this rooftop here. We'll add the chimney and the details down below, and that will make the ones that are a little more in the front pop just a little more. We can also add a blue shadow to this. Actually, let's do both. Let's start with the blue. The blue looks really nice. Now it takes me sometimes time to list it up. It's so funny, but now I feel like I'm getting like what I want to make out of this process. So I think it's going to be interesting. So we'll grab this kind of a blue. Now I honestly don't have the right blue in theory. It should be some kind of a cerulean-ish. But that's fine because I'm not really matching the colors as much as I am using the colors that work well together and that I like. So yeah. So that is going to help us. I'm going to move the palette a bit. Forgive me for that. That is going to help us define the edge of other roof. So I'm going to place it down here. Mostly phthalo. So, and it will frame that beautiful yellow that we had there. And that yellow that we have in the front. Now by adding this shadow, other things pop. Go. And we can hint there's some shadow. 1, 2. And sometimes I like, while I have it, to add the other details because they're similar colors. So I'll do a bit of these. right? I get a nice feeling like this time I'm going to work a little slower. I don't know why I was in such a rush last time. It wasn't anything logistical or work I had to do. I just was just for some reason in a rush when it came to the feel of the process. I don't know why that happened, honestly. It happens sometimes, it does influence the result. Usually not in a good way. Go. And we're done with this rooftop. Yep. So that is going to help us again frame this. It starts to give it some pop. Now, it's going to be gradual, right? It's not going to happen instantaneously. Let me make the video looks. Quality is decent enough. Ryan T, does anyone ever use Davies Gray from Holbein? It's a convenience color, but for some reason I've been obsessed with it recently. Well, I see a couple of places in the reference photo where I might use it. Yeah, because you're obsessed with it. Yep, that's how it happens. I love when that happens. So funny. Yeah, if you find a color that you really enjoy using, that's really good. You know, once in a while I'll find such a color and I'll just roll with it for a while, and it's great fun. The best is a color that's useful and you also like the way it looks. These are like magical colors to work. So let's see. I want to drop a shadow here. Notice again, this time a little slower. I have to be a little focused here. Let me do that because it's very up close. Good. And we'll continue with the rest. And you'll notice how painting all of these details does define the lighter details around them. Okay, that's important to note. So I'm defining the edge of this roof with this dark spot here. And by the way, I'm defining this corner right here using the shadow next to it. You can see it in the reference photo as well. It's going to happen in the one next to it as well. That's always a fun part in watercolor. The negative aspect of it, I love it. This hints where the other roof begins, right? And we also have that detail here, that little shadow right here. One of the things that work really well for me is to really follow the shapes I see and postpone my worry that it's not going to work. Because very often you can, as you're doing it, think, okay, maybe it's not going to work out, maybe it won't look good. But actually, if you just devote yourself to the section at hand, and you continue doing that, it tends to work out. It really does. I know there are a bunch of windows and details I still haven't gotten to, but I want to show you something neat. We have these two windows here. Whenever you layer a shadow next to a highlight, it tends to look really good. So I'll show you what I mean. We are going to paint these windows in. This time, I actually want to keep it just a neutral tint, not so much blue, because it feels a little warm, actually. So it feels the other way around. So let's see if I can get a bit of a warmer feel to it. I'm going to add a bit of my red and yellow here. Oh, hey Hank, hope you're doing well. Happy you made it. Did I miss an email from you? I'm not sure. Sorry if I have. Been a while. My apologies. This looks a little more accurate. Okay, so look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in a shadow, and I know it's small, but you'll see it in a second. I'm going to put in the two shadows, and next to them I'm going to put a highlight, and it's going to look really nice. First shadow. And now, once I'll add a little lighter highlight, I'm actually considering, I think I'll use my white gel pen here because it's a small, accurate detail. But once I do, you'll notice a nice pop. Now, it may be best to wait a few seconds for it to dry, or I can just do this. It'll probably dry it because it's such a small mark there. There we go. It's gonna dry fast. Or if I make anyone dizzy. Now look at what's gonna happen as soon as I add that highlight. Tends to that. Use my pen a bit here to the side because sometimes the ink doesn't come out. I may end up using my pencils, you know. Or we'll give it a second, but you can see a bit of it because I need to go over it again with the white gel pen. It's such a small shape. Or I can use my designer's gouache. You know what? That's gonna be the fastest. I do want to show you this effect. It's really cool, but the white paint needs to be visible for it to work. You got a glimpse of it as soon as I applied that first white paint, but it's such a cool effect. And I find that sometimes taking a small section to its completion gives you motivation to continue the process. There we go. So now you see how it reads like a window. You know, there's a light, there's a shadow, it's beveled inwards. And even with the yellow of the wall being this light, it still works, you know? Let's see here. Shinhan. Oh, I love Shinhan PWC. I have this one, Shinhan. It's completely messed up by now, but I use that all the time for my highlights. It's a good. This is similar to Titanium White. This is June Brilliant. Great paint. And I have a bunch of other Shinhans. I have this one, Pale Green. Also another one that I really, really like. I love this brand. They're really good and they're very cost effective. They cost a little cheaper than other brands and they're great. So let's do this little chimney and then I'll take a look and see who's here, who joined us. Hey Albano. Hey Lisa. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, PWC is the PWC is the hardest grade. Grab a bit of Pyrrole too here. I need some warmth. Dark warmth. Close. I'm gonna get that left side of the chimney. And we'll get the shadow. It just needs to be a little lighter. I would say a bit more orange. Add a bit of yellow. Quite gentle. Go. And that's good for now. The front actually has a nice kind of reddish orange to it. I don't know if I wanna. Let's try. Let's get my other palette just for this little orange piece here. Then I'll add a few highlights there later on. We'll do the highlights in a more consolidated. Where do I want to go from here? I'm basically comparing, I'm scanning, I'm seeing what's off, what doesn't look good. This thing needs to be darker. A lot of lines that I put there, I went fast, so a lot of lines are very wonky, unfortunately. Let's shade this window. Let's work small and see what happens. I don't want to rush this one because it's just about a lot of small fixes and adjustments. So, water, it's still light, but it should be in the shadow. You see a lot of highlights actually that I would like to work on, but we'll take a moment. I still want to figure out some large shapes. I may have to lift here, or I may use opaque paint. You know what? It's a good opportunity to demonstrate some opaque paint use. Angle get? Oh, it's good. What next? You know, actually, I'm looking at it. I don't know what I would like to add next. It's doesn't happen to me much. Well, let's just go with it. Let's see. Try using my instinct. Maybe it will serve me better this time. Last time I was all over. What I'm looking for is to continue adding and improving until it starts to make sense in my mind, okay? That's basically where I'm coming with this stage. It's just so you know. I'm gonna lift a bit. Gonna need some tissue. It's becoming hot again, so I need to make sure I have a towel before we start these streams. That'll get rid of that annoying blotch from last time. I actually don't... I like the transition, but I don't like this red as much. That's... What's done is done. I'm actually gonna try fixing the facade or the front of this building. Let's see if I can get away with this. I'm gonna introduce a bit of white. And here. Let me show you what it... And I'll borrow a bit of that. Of the orange. Because it's a washed out wall, so that may work. And you'll get to see the wonderful world that is opaque watercolor. I need more white. Let's start putting the paint and we'll see what happens. I'm honestly not sure. I want a bit more orange. Let's see if I can get away with this. I have a tendency not to be that great at this specific type mixing, but we'll try. A bit more orange there. Mix. And opaque paint is weird. The more it dries, the darker it gets. Unlike, you know, regular watercolor. Maybe that improves this, at least the shape of this building a little bit. Let's continue with... Good grief, there's so much. I'm actually not sure where to go from here. Let's do this rooftop because it's way too gray and it annoys me to see. I'm actually gonna be neat. Keep it. Let's see what happens if I just... Like I need to add a bit of color to... Probably work on it much differently if I were to paint this again. Yeah, that's much. So the way you do this, you just have to believe. You continue making small fixes and changes. You just have to believe that at some point it's going to happen. And I feel like it can. So for example, you see this little, there's a lighter strip of paint there, or strip of blue. Let's get that in there. See, blue, white. See what we can do. This one right here. We can bring back this nice highlight. And this line. See? Now that makes a little more sense. So if we're already working on this nice rooftop, let's continue, and I'm gonna add some details for the windows. Oops, I'm getting my hands really dirty. Let me get some paper. Ruth is stretching in the background. She's so cute. So now if I were to add a bit of the windows there, it's almost like you need to choose an area to focus on, get it done, and then move on. I can't really force this. I went a little different than the lines, the pencil lines I had there. Better pattern. And you see how as soon as this dries, it goes darker. That's the wonders of opaque paint. Now, let's see what you're saying. When I complete the course I'm doing, I really want to do one of your watercolor courses, Liron. I love how you focus on shapes. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you want something that's more about shapes, I would go with watercolor realism, not necessarily frustration-free watercolor. Nikita says, Liron, let's close the left side with some darker shapes. Yeah, there are a few of them here, especially this section. Yeah, we can do that. So let's see. I'm a little uncertain here. This is one of those processes that I find myself most questioning myself and what I should do, you know? I actually have a good idea. Let's see if we can get it to work in a second. So I'm going to zoom in a bit and we'll do those corrections you mentioned. So for example, there's a rooftop here and then it has a dark background around it. So I'm gonna paint that dark background. Maybe it'll give us some closure, you know, quite literally there. I'm gonna keep it simplified for now. I just need to block out dark. Here. Go. There's a shadow here. Defines the shape. Might as well. And might as well connect it to some of the windows above. And it goes down all the way to frame that. Well, and it continues. Really missed that. Go. Not that important. That. And while I have this mix, I need something similar here. Again, this is going to be like the reverse of a death by 1,000 cuts. It's going to be an improvement by 1,000 brush marks. I have to. But I think it's cool to show you how that kind of thing happens. Because I have a lot of processes I paint, you know, behind the scenes that go through the same evolution process. First wash that's a little too messy, and then solving all the problems till it looks like you would never think it was messy to begin with. So we have this nice little muted brown left there. Dark. You'll see in a second what I do. Here. Messed that up a bit the first go. And actually, while it's still wet, I don't mind. I'll have to make the roof next to it actually orange, because right now it's not. There we go. This actually looks much better. So it's fun to see how the little sections kind of solve themselves. Very slowly but surely. Again. You'll see when I'll post the finished version, it can be a little mind-blowing how big of a difference it is. Hopefully we can get that effect going here. Now let's darken this. Then I do see a bit of a grayish blue. The opaque paint will actually help us here a bit under the roof, so I can do that. Now the order in which I work is quite random, but I am starting with what's close to us. You can probably tell, to make sure that the foreground at least makes sense, you know. Now I actually need this purple again to complete what I missed last time. Dip down. There isn't really a super graceful way to do it. I'll just connect it with some shadows I see there. Do that for now. I can organize a bit better later. And then, okay. This shape. Time to solve that as well. And I think after that I'll clean my palette, believe it or not. Just to get a bit of a fresh start. Brown. One old corner. That's a bit more of its actual shape. This is a bit overworked, but don't worry, it's gonna end up okay. But I just wanted to solve that entire trio of roof. There we go. I'm gonna take a little break. Let's see what you're saying. Back. I missed a bunch of stuff. Hey Mia, how are you doing? Thank you for being here from Stockholm. Hey again, Hank. Reading now. I never worry about such a benefit of senior status. What do you think is the best way? Nikita asks, what do you think is the best way to add white back, white watercolor, white gouache, white gel pen? Yeah, so it depends on the use. If you look to be very accurate and it's very linear in its essence, the fastest way is to use a gel pen. But it's a bit hard sometimes on cold press paper that have texture on them. But it's a good possibility. The next best thing is, for me so far, gouache works best. And then white watercolor. I do have both. I also have these pens, not pens, these pastel pencils that work quite well. But that's more if you want white that has smoother feel to it, because they're easy to kind of smear around, make them a little smoother. But you can also sharpen it really well, and it will produce a very nice sharp edge too. So I would say these are a bunch of the options. There's more. But yeah, I think ultimately it's the thing that works well for you. So you'll have to play around with them and see what kind of works best. Yeah, more portable. Yeah, so more portable white gel pen. Gouache in a tube works well too. John, Liron, the Daniel Smith Moonglow I sent, what do you think of it? Any good for shadow work? Just curious. Yeah, I actually played around with it once shortly after I got it. Thank you so much, by the way. Not enough for me to comment. I think what I sometimes end up doing with these paints I'm uncertain of is to just make a few monochrome paintings with them. So that I have a complete painting. I'm not really concerned about color harmony. It's just a monochrome. So maybe I'll end up using it more for that. But it's a good reminder because I haven't used it in months. So I should probably give it a go again. But thank you so much. The rest of them, I ran through all the tubes, all the white gel pens, everything. Ryan, do you have an Amazon link or wish list where people can send you gifts? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if I have that kind of a thing set up. You can email me and I'll let you know where to send stuff. But yeah, that's a good idea actually. I need to, because people have mentioned this before and I just never got around to set it up. I probably should. I'll do a screenshot as a reminder. How do you do screenshots in Mac again? Is it Command 3? What? Command 3 moved to the third tab in my browser. I'll remember. I'll remember. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna write it down. Everything I have to write with is a white. And if I have a wish list, I have a wish list. I don't know if it's a public facing thing. And if I do, it's out of date completely. So I'll need to update it. Anyway. Thank you so much, Ryan. Really appreciate it. I will get something like this set up. Nikita, Poland essentially originated from Belarus. Oh, cool. But now I roam around Europe more or less. Europe is so cool because you can go anywhere. Really, it's really nice. Here we're closed in such a small space. Let's see. Yeah, someone from Korea. Okay. Feeling. Suzanne, Liron, where do you get ideas and inspiration from? It's never really external. It's more about what I see about whatever it is I'm painting. So I'll recognize things that interest me, that make me want to paint them. So if anything, it's kind of a journey of self-discovery. A good place to start is to draw things that are familiar to you. That means, and paint, of course, views where you live. Things of that nature tend to work well because you have a personal connection to them. A lot of the process of making it more personal was a big part for me and still is of making my art a bit more me in a way, if that makes sense. But yeah. Hope to visit Down Under at some point. Yeah, that's such a cool place to visit. I haven't gotten the chance. Buzzo finally cut your stream. I usually open my YouTube and get disappointed by it was live 1 hour ago. Well, you got it now. Thank you so much for being here, Buzzo. Liron, let's close. Yeah, we talked about that. I'll improve it in a second. Thank you so much, Susan, again. Okay, we're catching up. This approach is kind of cool. Mostly we hear about simplifying and painting bigger shapes in the first place, but it's reassuring to know that messes can be... Yeah, definitely can. And if this ends up being super long live stream, I'll just do it... we can just continue with this painting, but I don't want to bore you. Worst case, I'll continue working on it privately and get it to a point where it's completely finished, and then share it, and you'll be like, oh, okay, so it is possible. But yeah, we'll try wrapping up a lot of it at least. Yeah, there's endless approaches, as many approaches as there are people. Steve Mills, had to drop out there for a minute. My landscape artist of the year email just arrived, hoping I can still make it on as a wild card. Oh, that's cool. So are you going to participate? That's cool. Hey, Deep Christian. Sir, do you have any tips for capturing photographs for watercolor landscape? So actually taking photos, I think it's... like, I wouldn't be a perfectionist when it comes to how you take the photo, things like that. I would focus more on the subject itself. So, finding things that you like, finding things that make you feel good and make you want to paint them. I think that's more of a thing to be emphasized rather than, making the photo itself perfect. That's where I would look, at least. Let's see. Amy, for tips for beginners, I actually have a playlist, watercolor techniques for beginners. Check that out. You can find a lot of really direct stuff there. Ryan, I was inspired by the barg plate videos you made, so I bought the book from my neighbor, and I've been doing my own versions. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, it's so fun because the light and shadow are very clear. It's a good way to practice that kind of a thing. It's very inspiring. I find that strong contrast very inspiring. Hey, Irma from Mexico City. Thank you for being here. Daiji, how are you doing? Thank you for being here as well. Shift command. What I needed. for the screen capture. Yep. Okay, let's continue here. Let me figure out where I want to go next. There's a lot of things. I'll find the thing that bugs me the most. That would be. You know what's so interesting? This seems to me like it could be darker, but I'm very hesitant to do it because I like this loose transition and contrast. So for now, I'm not going to do that. Let's continue with this rooftop here, though. Bank in on it. And we'll mix something for this. So it's going to be a very dark reddish brown. Let me do a couple of things here. I am going to clean my palette. I feel like I want a fresh start just to see the colors a little better. We'll do the unthinkable. I also have a lot of opaque paint that can really mess up with mixes. I'll get rid of that. Would like the camera to. Sorry for the shakiness. I need to figure out like how to place a tripod over my tripod, but there we go. Want you to see the palette as well. So that's how I clean my palette. I don't overthink it. Yeah, we're good. So let me mix that kind of brown reddish color I was talking about. A little yellow, a little red, small shape, so I don't need to mix a lot, but I do need it to. Good. Now a bit of blue, ultramarine. Good. And I'm gonna get the shadow in. Then I'll show you something really. Little shadow will important. And you have a nice gray shadow there underneath. Let me capture that first. Right around here. Shadow that makes. I'm in the area. Oh. This. Alt. That. And yeah, so I wanted to show you, if I do go back to my opaque paint for a second, let's see how. So it's gonna be really cool when I edit here next to these shadows. You'll notice if you really zoom in on the reference photo, there's this grayish shadow right next to them. So let's see if we can get that. Add a bit of the paint. I need more because I need to make sure it doesn't dry much darker. Let's see what it looks like. Right here near the edge. While I have this, I actually can get a lot done here. Basically, every place where I see this kind of a gray, I can apply it. Even here within the windows, bit of detail. Go. Let's fix that one. Go. We even left a bit of that shadow to the left here. Even this could work with opaque paint. You see these lines, they make a big difference actually. There's a bit of it going on here. The highlight. There's actually a shadow underneath. On. Again, while I'm at it and I have this paint mixed in, I can do quite a bit with it. Same for this little. So, windows here in the shadow. But for that, let's go darker. So I'm adding more watercolor, not the opaque gouache. Get a few of these windows in the shadow. Interest there. Again, this isn't even like painting a hyper-realistic painting. It's more about just slowly adding the details in. So again, it doesn't have to be a boring, long, hyper-realistic painting, because some people don't like these, but it can be a slow and deliberate process, which is, it's another tool, so why not use it? A lot of people don't for no reason. This should be lighter, so let me show you. I'm gonna lighten it up, hopefully. Wash. Yeah, and the color is very... Okay, all of these details are going to compound. And will hopefully end up with the impression we're after. There are some highlights here, for example, where it catches sunlight coming from the left. That's really nice. This area right here, that's a nice area in and of itself, really. I love that section. Hey, Gina from Washington. Cool. Bye, Suzanne. Have a good one. Hey, Nancy. I really like this painting, the mix of the loose first wash, and I like the wonky lines and then these few added details. Always relaxing to watch you paint. Thank you. This area really is starting to come together, I think. Now I feel inspired to get it to look good. So Janith, I heard this live chat in my car while driving home from work. I tried not to see, only hear. Yeah. Drive safe. It's really important because yeah, I like listening a lot as well, and then it's really dangerous. You can't be looking at the screen. So I had another thing there in mind. What did I want to do here? There's this little chimney that I'm gonna add. Oh, but let's. I like the top of it. This. I think I can also maybe add a bit of that same gray here over the yellow. I similar, different value, but really good. These two together, and let's switch modes here to some shadows. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of orangey shadows that I want to get in. So we'll mix again red, spiral scarlet, a bit of quinacridone rose, a bit of both really, and a bit of lemon yellow. And I think that's a good place to start here with some of these shadows. The quinacridone rose really helps to darken, I find. The red gives it a bit more fire. Ruth is dreaming. She's barking from in her sleep. Listen, I don't know if you can hear this. Crap. She woke up. She was doing the whole probably if there are any Dog owners here will know. I love that. We have some good recordings of her doing that. So yeah, a bit more blue, a bit more red. Yeah, that's good. I needed something muted. And now, so let me show you. First, we have a shadow here. Let's get that down. Darker. Go. That's an important one. Then we can connect it to this shadow here. If I can connect, I will. Right, I don't avoid it. Spiral, and then we can get some shadows here. Also, I saw right here under the highlight we put earlier. There we go. There's actually a bit of a shadow running across the middle here. I don't want to ruin the smooth transition, but I'll just put a bit of it in. So, there are a bunch of shadows if we really want to go one by one. I'm gonna focus for now on the foreground a bit. Here, and I think that's good. Now let's see, can I lighten this wall up? I would really like, even though it's to the side, I love how it's much lighter than the rest. I'm not sure I'll be able to do this because I need a light and bright paint, but let's try. So if bit of I don't think I'll the white paint is gonna I think my best bet to actually mix this is to use acrylics. This is a really bright color. Let's see what this looks like. Sorry, I know you can't see the mix. My apologies. Let's see what this looks like on paper. Yeah, it's not enough. Not nearly enough. Bit better, but it's not going to be the brightest. You know, that's where watercolor's limitation comes in. It has to be taken into consideration, right? To really mix that bright of a red, we'll probably need to bring in acrylics, like actual. But it could be a nice experiment. I have this kind of a paint, so we can try it out later. But yeah, so I feel like this section is starting to be established. Let's actually use. Once we'll get this section done, we'll go a little up there, see what's going on there. This building, unfortunately, I really dislike it, but we'll have to. And get the shadow there. Dark X. What are you working on? Is there a painting you're working on? Everyone, let me know. Are you working on something slowly and deliberately? Or are you, you know, doing just sitting down and doing one, cranking out a painting and then moving on? Or maybe you're too busy right now. You don't get much time to paint. Let me know. I'm curious. I actually have a fun idea. I think I'll try auctioning a painting. I don't know if that's something you'll be interested in, but like something like this one actually can be a good one because you've seen it being painted. So it's interesting. I don't know if this one in particular, but I can do something like that. And an auction is really cool because it'll, you know, it will just end up somewhere. It's not going to be like a list price that could be significantly higher. So let me know if that's something that may interest you. Could be a good opportunity to get a painting for a good price, I think. I do want to add a bit of shadow under the rooftop here, unfortunately. This building is gonna haunt me, really. Don't like it. Way too gray. And it's too late to start blending it in, you know, there. So, not sure what I want to do with it for now. For the time being. One step less bad. And then let's get some of this opaque paint. I want to put in this here. There. Save it for later. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of this going on. I think this will dry a little dark, but we'll... that. Don't know what it is, but it looks nice, so get that in. This should actually be what this gap is gonna be. I should have filled it with the same yellow. Try it out. Yellow gap here. And I'll also send it to the wall there. So you see, it's not really that fascinating to watch, unfortunately. But a lot of my paintings are, to be honest with you, a lot of my paintings, I do get more right the first time. So this is a smaller step than it is for this one. And also there's just a lot, right? There's a lot of details here. It's, to some extent, it's inevitable that you'll have to go back and fix and change. But yeah. We'll see. If we get bored, we can pause and continue this. That's a little better now. This area looks a little more right. We're gonna let this rest, and then we'll start tackling the middle top section. I think there's quite some progress to be had there. Laura, I'm working on an attempt 4 of a painting, learning something new each time. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, that sometimes a painting captures us and we get obsessed over it. It's actually a great phenomenon. It means you care about it, you know. John, Liron, I sometimes find myself adding too much detail in a composition. For instance, would you put chimneys, smoke, or birds in this type of a composition? How do you determine what to add? So yeah, I like the photo as it was, so I'm probably not going to do any of that kind of a thing. But there are a lot of details here, right? So we can almost translate that question to, will you put in all of the details you see? And you see, I'm not really... I'm pretty generous with the details here. I feel like I can do the same thing I just did here for everything, and it will still look good. It will still look fine in the end. So, I don't know. I just like details. I don't really mind them. I think what a lot of people have problem with is they just don't like the way the details look. I'm not saying that's you, but very often I think people just don't like the way the details look, and that's their issue, not that there was too many details, you know? Because I barely find myself thinking about, you know, stopping early enough or something. To me, more details better. It's in how I put the details in that will take care of it and make it look good, you know. So I don't know. I hope that perspective helps in a way. I haven't been asked about this in a while, so I think it's a fresh take of mine, hopefully. So Jenny, Liron, do you like ink and wash? Are you planning planner in the future? Ink and wash, to me, when I try it, it looks very very amateurish. I think there's a learning curve I need to go through in order to get it done in a way that I like the result. I'm not there yet. I think I'll need to find a new, more innovative way of doing it if I want to like its result. For now, I don't feel like I'm there. So no, that's why I don't do it much, or at all, actually. Gina, I painted butterflies and hummingbirds. Made them into fridge magnets. Oh, that's cool. I gave two to a YouTube cooking friend. She has them on her fridge. Oh, that's awesome. So you see them all the time. That's really cool. That's amazing. Anna, hello. I just arrived, and your explanation is very interesting. Thank you. Jane Hopper, do you use only one brush? And is it okay to do that? Yes, you can do whatever you want. To me personally, I'm using a combination. I want to move the chat for a second. Let me move. Yeah, sorry about that. The fact that the chat obstructs the painting started driving me crazy. Yeah, I'm using mostly one or two for this one just because I need a small size because we're done with the large shapes stage, so to speak. But of course, you can use as many as you see fit, really. Um, just want to use one, that's great. Some people get away with just a large brush that has a good tip. I like doing that too because then you can get everything done with it if you're careful enough. Hank, what is an example of ink and wash that you like? This artist I recently featured on Painting Masters. Let me find. I forgot who it was because it's been a while. Who was it? Of course, not Carolyn Lord. So, someone like Not Just Night. I think some. Oh yeah, Charles Villeneuve. So Charles Villeneuve, and it's Painting Masters episode 81. If you want to check it out, the way he uses, I'm not sure if it's pen or pencil. It's interchangeable to me. That kind of a style I love. I think the lines there play a very interesting role as opposed to using lines to show shapes. It's more like he's using them to show shadows. That kind of a thing I like. So that's a good example, actually. And I don't know how I can be prepared to start from the beginning in the next explain. Oh, so you want to catch the live as soon as it starts. This is the time I usually do them, Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Almost always. I've been pretty consistent about it. I've had a bit of a patch where I did less of them, but that's usually what I do. So it's the safe bet. Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Laura, of course, my physical limitations are still affecting my ability. Yeah, that has to be a challenge. Yep. Sorry about that. So, are you finding new ways to work around it, or just kind of dealing with it and doing your best? And if it hurts the result and the energy, then that's fine. Let me know if you don't mind sharing. Laura, it's true about also Laura. Yeah, it's true what you say about the subject meaning something to you. This is for my brother. It's a photo I took of. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. If I know I'm making at his cottage, you took the picture. Yeah, if I'm working on a painting for someone else, that immediately changes my mindset and how I feel about it completely. I have a nose hair that tickles me. Sorry about that. It's so annoying. It happens at some point and then it doesn't stop. Jose, hi. How do you keep motivated? Greetings from Chile. Thank you so much. I've been to Chile. It's such a beautiful country. I know why I'm doing it. I enjoy sharing my art. I enjoy the creation process. I don't need to be motivated. It's what I do when I don't have anything to do. You know what I mean? It's almost like, imagine you have vacation and you just find yourself doing a bunch of stuff you don't normally do because you enjoy them, because you can finally afford to do them because you're on vacation. To me, that's every day. That's just the thing that naturally comes to me. I don't need to work hard at that at all. And if you find that you have a different experience, then it's a good thing to explore and find out why, what, how you feel about it. To me, I don't need it. I don't need any motivation. It's the path of least resistance for me to sit down and paint. It honestly is. It becomes clearer the more I do it. It's an inevitability to me. So yeah. Which painting master did you mention? It's episode 81, Charles Villeneuve. Episode 81. I posted it 4 months ago. It's 3 back. Not the recent one, not the one before, but before that. It's not in the playlist. If you look at the playlist, it's still not there. So don't look at the Painting Masters playlist. Bazo, I find myself too overwhelmed with work to paint a lot, but I have an easel, a sketch pad, and a stay wet palette with slow dry acrylics, always ready to go. Oh, that's a good setup, so you can always just get started. Gina, I have painted for 27 years and now I'm learning to draw. I do it all for the joy of creating. Good for my brain. Yeah, that's great. Check out the Draw Anything course if you haven't. I have a course on drawing. It's a very intuitive, direct approach. I think it lends itself well to painting. And by the way, if you prefer book form, I also have a book on the topic, very similar. It's called How to Sketch. You can find it on Amazon. Yeah, drawing is huge fun. I can at any point in time just grab a pencil or a pen and just go for it. You know, it's so fun, so fun. My pleasure, Nancy. So let's see. I'll go up a bit because I missed there. Hey Bess, how are you doing? Logan, how are you? Planning on doing a small watercolor animation. Oh, cool. But I think I need a mini projector to help with it. Yeah, or you can, again, put the paper on the screen. Be in a dark room, increase the... If you have a laptop, that would work best. Or, you know, you can even put it on any screen, really, if you can get it on your TV or something like that. Or even a PC. It can work. Put it on there, turn off the light, turn up the brightness, and do the trace every step. It's very fun. Now, let me know if you want some help with that, just advice or anything. John, thanks, Liron. Really helpful. I can spend ages trying to work out what works in a composition, like adding something or leveling it out. Yep. You know, if you're compelled to spend ages, just do it. Who stops you, you know? I think you'll only benefit from it. You'll either learn where you should have stopped or you'll get the result you actually wanted, you know? The idea is freedom, I think. Jane, painting and sketching definitely helps me feel at peace, especially when the world gets too much at times. Thank you for answering my question. So glad to catch your live stream. Thank you so much. Yeah, and the world can get it can be too much very easily. So, you know, if you listen too much to the news or anything like that, that can really mess it up. You got it, Gina. Hank, gotta go and work. Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you're doing well and you're getting the opportunity to paint. I think I will continue. So let's figure out where I want to continue. So that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna leave this terrible red there. That's fine. Let's add the windows and details to, or maybe large shape. Let's get rid of this mess here. Let's organize this section. This section annoys me. So I'm gonna do something interesting. Here's an example for thinking possibly outside the box. So if you look at this set of 3 buildings, right? What I did was I went a little too dark here, so it's not enough contrast with the roofs, and that's fine. But one thing I can do is I can even use something like this to just go over it and see if I can lighten it up, or I can add the white details almost on top of it opaquely, and it may work out as well. Let's try first with the pastel pencils and see what happens. I feel like the inside part should probably be a little lighter. If I go at it like this, all the way down here, actually, I just smear it a little bit. It makes some sense. Now, the question is, will I be able to paint over it with watercolor? I'm actually not sure. But if there was ever a good time to test it out, it is now. Why not? Let's give it a try. This connects here. There's a red rooftop. That. I'm filling in the area very kind of smearing. Filling in the area. Stopping here. You can even grab a bit of tissue or something and help the paint. So let's see, out of curiosity, let's see if I can paint over it. That'll be interesting. With opaque paint, even. So let's get some of these patterns we're seeing in the window. It's a very weird way of doing it, but again, if there's ever a time to try these things out, it's these types of experiences. So, okay. Let's see what happens. the paint will even catch onto the paper, you know. Honestly, not sure. I'm gonna use a bit of water. Bit. Movement. Yeah, it's gonna be a mess. So I'll reconsider. Let's try something else. I don't like the way this is going. I know I'm not gonna like it. Let's try something strange here. Let me try going over the entire triangle. Maybe aside from the shadow on the right, like leave a little gap there. This. Let's see where this can take. Here as well. And for the lower yellow part, there's a white and then yellow. I'm going to use my pastel pencil. Let's see how this. Honestly, have no idea. Weird way of approaching it, but I feel like I have to lighten these up, or it'll drive me crazy. Now for the bottom, grab the warm pen. Let's see how far we can get with. Actually, we'll take a mixed media approach here. Of course, I could use my opaque in-hand PWC, doing brilliant. But let's see if we can get this to work. It's gonna look a little strange, of course. I should have here. There we go. It's gonna look a little strange, of course, but got the values where we wanted them. And now I can start putting in, even while it's still a little wet, a few of the doors, windows, details. Not this area there. Just need some darks. And I will go on the blue cool dark. Should work. It's gonna be a little awkward because again it's above opaque paint. Let's see. I'm gonna add the shadow here, make it a little stronger. Over on this side. Once I'm done with these shadows, I'm gonna start adding in the doors, windows. We actually have a balcony here. That you see how it mixes with the opaque paint on the paper. Again, it's gonna be a little awkward, but this could end up looking really nice. It could give the details softer features. Because it's like doing wet and wet, only the wet area is opaque paint. This is a fun way of doing it. I don't think most people ever do this. We'll take some risks, it's fine. Windows there. Now, if you do a good enough of a job, it should read decently. Perfectly necessary. But from afar, when you see it, you'll think, oh, okay, it's windows, it's doors, and so on. Then I'm gonna add, we may go back once it dries and improve things a little, but I'm gonna add the balconies. The area where I use the pencil does not register. It's gonna be a good to know. But I think that's good enough. And now we can, should I darken that's a question. Should I darken the roofs themselves? And I'm recognizing a bit of red there and I like it. It may end up being too distracting, so I won't use it. There's a thin reddish line around these roofs, but I think it'll be too distracting. So unfortunately, even though it looks really cool, that's the part of the decision-making process. I'm not gonna put that in. I will, however, put this nice little dark roof. Hopefully I'll be able to actually paint it because there's some still. what happens when you start experimenting with, mixed media, and things can get messy. Now, for pretty much the same color, I can do the left side of this. Cover it up because it's terrible. And for the other side, I'm going to use a light orange. I think as we'll get closer to the hour mark, at some point I'll just pause this. Wherever we'll be, I'll just ask if you want me to continue next time or just finish this one on my own. Maybe that's the better idea here. I don't want to drag this process for too long. I'll just, I think, finish. And we'll close off this terrible gap that I left. So actually, let me see. This roof goes all the way down here. I think Ruth is gonna or bark again. Fun. There are these windows here. I'm gonna treat it as almost a highlight. Covered them last time, I shouldn't. I'll bring them in a second as highlights. Let's not darken the roof itself anymore. Good, like this. That's a little better than what it was a second ago. Now let's grab a bit of this opaque here, because I can use it with a bit more white. Get in some of the small details. Sorry, I will be back to looking at the chat in a few. Dormers or windows. That. And thank you, by the way, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm happy that you enjoy these streams. Spend your time. Me? That's a huge compliment, really. A lot of encouragement. Let's get a bit of blue there. So I feel like my views on YouTube have been really low lately compared to the number of videos. Of course, I'm putting a little less out there. It's a bit of a busy, weird time, but I feel like a lot of the views go down, and it's only one. I don't know if people are busy with life, basically, but it's interesting to see how it happens sometimes. There are a lot of videos that I feel like are really good that I posted recently that didn't get many views. I don't really care, but just if you missed a bunch of them, maybe you want to check them out because there are some pearls there, I think. I don't really mind it. These things always come around, and after a while, people have some free time, they end up watching, and I try to make my videos very evergreen anyway. They'll hopefully always be relevant to someone. Yeah. So let's do this one now. This is going to be easy. I'm going to put the same pattern of shadow and highlight, and then I'll look at some of the messages. So we have two of these, shadow and highlight. So now let's start. Shadow, where-ish. Other one here. It has a bit of blue in it, maybe on. If you're patient enough, you can go back and revisit and fix and change and make this look spectacular, Do so much. I don't think even it's a matter of when to stop. It's more of a matter of when you feel like it looks the way you want it to, right? So you can do quite a bit. You are patient enough and you don't mind, working on the same painting for a couple of days. Huge. So much. So let me add the highlights. I'm gonna have highlights under and to the right. That's what's gonna give it this feeling again that it's beveled or dented inward. This, love this. Always very pleasing. Here it's gonna be barely visible because it's already light to begin with, but we'll still. in anyway. There we go. Nice. We actually have a bit of a chimney. And actually, while I have this light paint, I can move around here and add a bunch of details. You do see a bit of that highlight here. Or let me make it go. I love these types of, love them. These look so much more beautiful than the buildings we have here. I was always attracted to this type of European kind of rural architecture, but not just rural, also big cities. This type of small villages in Germany that have a little church in the middle. So for example, where I gain inspiration is I just know what I enjoy doing, and then I do it. One of these things is to paint these types. Know yourself well enough, you'll find inspiration just about anywhere. Now let's go over this line. Went a little too. Again, that's something that happens with opaque paint. It dries a little darker, opposite of regular. Go. There's some nice details on this rooftop. Let me get those under that here. These windows, right? So I can, and then I can justify it with the shadow underneath. I like to, again, to be efficient in that way. So if I already have a paint that I need somewhere, I'll just use it in all the different places I need it. I find it speeds things up. It helps me focus. This section looks much better in my opinion now. I do see some glistening highlights being kept a little all over the place at this stage, but that's exactly where I want to be. That's exactly how one lets the process carry them. And once it actually starts to look like the thing you're painting, it gives you even more motivation, right? That's a very fun place. This here. Here. Detail. Found it. And then we can come back with some shadows and again, make some adjustments, make sure it looks good. There's a bit of a highlight on top. This building is a mess. I don't know what I'll do with it, but there. I do have a big shape to work on here. We'll get to that in a actually, let's do it now because I can start establishing these semi highlights. Let's call them. Oh, it's kind of a gray. I've been watching for any anime lovers here. I've been watching Monster. I had no idea it's so good. By Naoki Urasawa. The guy that does Manben. Sure, someone here watched Manben. Logan, maybe you watched it, right? I don't remember. He's so good. It's a real monster. It's a real slow burn. I'm enjoying it. I got to the part of the burn. It's pretty good. There we go. This should be parallel, actually. What we're doing here. Go, some windows there. And then we'll add some shadows to justify it. So now we're on to reddish shadows to justify the highlights. I'm just really pulled into the process, so I'm sorry I keep delaying the communication in the chat. But I promise I'll look at all of the messages in a second. That's where you want to be. You want to be pulled by the process. So we had these, head here to justify the highlights. One thing I think I'll do this weekend, I think I will purchase the first couple of Halo games. I'll start with the first one. Because I played it at a friend's when I was 10 or something like that. 15, I really can't remember. And I loved Halo, and I keep seeing and hearing about people who do playthroughs and stuff on YouTube, and I really want to experience it again, the campaign especially. I'll probably get it and play a bit over the weekend. Now on to other roof. There we go. So I need to go a touch darker and then a lot darker. First, let me grab a bit more of my reds and we'll start filling in the blanks here. So I'm gonna paint around placed carefully as I can, but it's okay if some of them get a little blurry. All the way roof, edge, and I could probably, while it's still wet, to start placing in the darker shadows. So if I do this now, good. This is one. You see how it justifies the existence of highlights, of shadows, everything. Another one, all the way down to here. And here, another one. And didn't get all of them. And I got like 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's fine. Look at how nice that looks. And on top of that, we can actually now, while it's still wet, come back with more opaque paint and add some more details to the lower section here. And look at how nice it's going to look. This, a bit of that. It's going to melt in there. Even the windows, with those wet and wet. One thing I've been enjoying is doing wet and wet with opaque into transparent paint. Looks really good. And then oops, that's not good. I think I will take a moment to darken this wall there. It's a little more neutral. Now, the problem with opaque paint, it has a tendency to go all over the palette, so you have to be a little careful. Right now, I have a lot of opaque paint everywhere. So I want to be cognizant of that and darken this wall. Wall should be darker. And I'm actually going to continue this all the way down. There's no use to put a high. Close in all the gaps. And I'm going to add the dark shadow here. Right under rooftop and the windows. Wet and wet decisively. And bam, we're done with that section. I think it looks much, much better. Looks much, much better. And yeah, let's look at some of your messages and then we'll do some final steps to wrap the process up. I think we're making some nice progress here. This aside a bit, let's put painting in focus for a few seconds, see what you're saying. Bottom to top. Banani Kovani, how are you? Oh my god, I love the reds. Thank you so much. Laura, I'm trying to paint in a loose style. It's just hard to get away from a more realistic style I used to paint. Or that you're used to paint. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna hopefully develop some new insights in that regard because I feel it in my bones. I feel the ability to just go loose, and I don't think I still cracked how to communicate it to others. Of course, I can't influence others fully, but I can inspire in some aspects, so I will dive deeper on that hopefully soon. I do cover a lot of it in the frustration-free watercolor course, but I think there's new grounds to cover. Bazo, ooh, the idea of wet on wet opaque into transparent sounds intriguing. I want to try it out. In fact, Bazo, I may have an example of that. I should have a good example of that. Let me see. I did this over on YouTube. We did this painting. If you check out this painting process from Venice, this is wet in wet, opaque onto transparent, and it looks really, really nice. But this is even small shapes. I have larger, like even larger examples. Let me see if I can find something. I did this one. This is all, opaque paint into wet. Phthalo blue, and into that I just put it in directly the paint, the designer's gouache. So that's a really nice way of doing it too. I've been doing it a lot lately. It's so fun. This is another great one. This is very abstract. It's a parking lot behind our building. It was a very wintry day, but this is all opaque paint and some splashes and a bunch of different effects. I've been really enjoying it. Yeah, I think these are pretty much the good examples for this. We have more other paintings. These are the ones that are more accessible. That I can grab real quick. Jane Hubbard, let me move this. This annoys me. Roll. Jane Hopper, I've started to paint landscapes and buildings to strengthen my background mind library. Oh, that's cool. I've focused on portraits way too much. I neglected that part of the paint. Yeah, of course, focus on whatever you feel like. It's okay to focus on portraits for a while, then move on to something else. Really whatever works for you. But I think, yeah, it's the thing you never really did may help you develop a little more than things you've done multiple times. That's just the nature of it, Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Adria. I'm very happy you like it. Let's see. Up. Yeah. Yep. A bunch of messages. Yeah, but Laura, again, you're doing great. You find a way to work around it, and that's pretty much everything you can do, I guess. I don't remember if you sent me some recent stuff, but if you want to email me a few of your results, I'm curious to see. Let me know if you want. Curious to see. Ryan, yeah, I like architecture too. The subjects that appeal to me are very greatly. For example, for some reason, I'm obsessed with the dolphin resort at Epcot Center. I'm not sure what I'm gonna Google it for a second there. That's how it works, Inspiration is weird. By definition, it's weird because I really do believe it's out of this world in a way. Oh yeah, that's cool. Triangular kind of. What's that? Looks almost like Las Vegas or something like this. We have a place in Eastern Washington called Leavenworth. I love the buildings. It's Austrian. Oh, that's cool. It's cool, Gina. Steve, still no idea what to do with the outline or pencil that came with my ink tensors, though. At the moment, it's keeping a shelf level. Yeah, I'm not. That's a good use too. I have no idea what that is, but you can just try it out on a blank piece of paper and see what happens. Adrian, I love painting architecture, so this painting has been great to watch. Thank you. Bazo, okay, conversations. Oh yeah, Banani. Hi from rainy Belgium. Glad to be here since it has been a long time. Artistic Ren. Oh, sorry you missed it, but you will be able to watch the recording afterwards, of course. But thank you for being here. Adria, some of your older videos have been super helpful lately. So yeah, still relevant. Yeah, I'm happy I have this huge back catalog. People can always go there and watch and rewatch things that I've been doing for years ago. So Janith, Liron, how are you able to track details in this reference? It's so difficult to see and paint so many value shifts and details. Just by working section by section. I'm very familiar with it because I drew it. I actually traced it, but whatever. I painted it. I worked on it from beginning to end. So to me, it's very easy. And, I just find the little section, the little roof. So let's say it's this rooftop. And then within it, I'm looking at this. And I'm constantly looking. That's the challenge, right? You saw me struggling with just figuring out my next move. That doesn't happen as much. I think one way to do this is to just focus on one area for a while. You look at this area and you just look at this shape. Okay, the yellow. Okay, the yellow is good. The red, the orange, the top, the bottom. The way I do this though is it's not. I can't give you a checklist. What I like to do is, in reality, that's how it happens. So once I have a bunch of details, here's how it happens. I see the reference photo and I see my painting, and I'm just doing this, that. I'm looking at both. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that, and I'm just looking at different areas every time and seeing if I recognize a difference that I lack here. Once I find something that is different and I feel like I lack in my own painting, I add that in. It's as simple as that. And this is why it's a very time-consuming process, because there's a lot, right? So you see, we didn't do much really, but if you see a before and after, you will feel the difference, significant difference. All of these little details, they do accumulate and make for a better impression. So there's no real checklist to go by to do this, but that's how I do it, at least. Adria, I'm sorry I'm late. Thank you for being here anyway. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's go to the bottom of the chat now. Buck, I like seeing this approach. I started with like this, but was told that it's the wrong way, left me frustrated. Yeah, I mean, the idea that there is wrong or right is such a joke, you know. Hey, Liron, your paintings are so cool. Will you make a video of that painting? You mean this one? Or the one I showed you earlier? I'm not sure. This one, I'll try maybe to consolidate just the painting process into a video, if that's something anyone will be interested in. I got good feedback on that. Taking a live stream that has a 2 hours video that the process takes up about an hour, 40 minutes, and just trimming all the rest. So I may do that. But yeah, thank you. Adria, right? I'm not sure. Let me know. Laura T, I may confuse you with someone else. Laura T, I'm about to start my first big watercolor, mixed media actually, but starting with watercolor. Which is smart by the way, Laura. I love starting with watercolor because it's like a splash and it's very fast, and then you can decide to, you know, start doing things in small shapes. I've only ever done small alla primas, nothing with a detailed sketch or lots of elements. Any advice? I think if it's the first time, you just experience the process. You know, just any advice I will give you will immediately narrow your focus and hurt your result, quite frankly. So I would, instead of, if I were you, I would just listen to myself and what my instinct tells me. Now, if you do it a couple of times and the same issue pops, then we have something to talk about. But I think just for the beginning, that's what I would say. One more thing, you know, it's very easy to look at what you have on paper and just think you failed. That's especially with big paintings. It's so much in the accumulated effort. You just do more and more and more and more. And guess what? At the end, you get a result. You get a good result. If you do the same thing I'm doing here, right, carefully, area by area, section by section, you will end up with a good result. But it's about giving yourself that permission to continue and to add and to look at the shapes. When I look at the photo right now, you have to understand, I see a million things that could be done differently, better, however you want to look at it. But it doesn't stop me. All I'm thinking, okay, is what's the next thing I can improve? What's the next thing I can add to? What's the next thing that could make this look better? That's where my mind is at. You know, I see a lot of like these gaps. They're annoying. This is annoying. This is, but it doesn't matter. You know, it really doesn't. You just work at it one step at a time, one piece at a time. It all falls into place eventually. So that's what I would say if I had to give any advice, really. Let's work a bit on this section. So I'm seeing something that could be bluer. So I'm gonna work here. Just grab a bit of my blue. I don't mind it blending into some opaque paint. Actually, look nice. And no, that's actually. Now let's work. And I think I'll get it quite loose there. This is dark. Way down to. Again, sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just kind of doing, and it ends up working or not. Now dark paint. So let me show you. I'm gonna use this dark paint while it's still wet. Again, opaque on transparent, transparent on opaque. It's all cool. And I'm gonna establish some shadows in here. I think. And as soon as I move down here, it's gonna start being darker. We have a very dark patch right around here. And look at what happens here. This moves down along this wall here. That. Darkness there. Bit of a darkness here. As soon as you put these small details in, slowly but surely the viewer's mind will read them a little better. But look at what I'm doing. Again, plenty of moments in this process where this looked like, honestly, crap. And doesn't look, and maybe to many, it may still look like crap. But as long as I continue and I just take it one step further at a time, I should end up with something that makes sense. This gap is bye-bye. I can always come back and add if I need to bring back some highlights. Hey Pierre, how are you doing? Hey there, on my man. Just got back from Bali. Oh, that's cool. 1 hour ago. Did a few paintings and lots of sketches, remembering your fine teaching. Oh, that's awesome. Bali looks fantastic. I think I'm forbidden from going there because I'm from Israel. I'm pretty sure I can't visit there. Not me personally. I didn't do anything. But it's such a, looks great. What did I want to add in? I had this idea and then I forgot. Oh yeah. Dark rooftop on the right. I'm gonna need yellow. Make it orange. So let's re-wet all of this here. Especially the lower section got a little dry. Yellow, red, and let's look. We have a few of them actually. So the brighter one here, that's gonna be a good choice. I'm gonna add it in because why not? So I'm gonna add it in over what we have here, and that will close that annoying white gap here. Let's lift back the paint. Go and back to it. Then can add a bit of that rust. With dirt. And the other rooftop I really wanted to darken is this one. Green. Because that will help me frame a lot of the other buildings. So, okay, it will help me frame the building on the left. And this chimney, not chimney, front. Also this thing, this should go angle. Go. Now it may actually end up reading like something. You keep going. Slowly but surely, things will connect. Yep, that's good. There is a strong shadow here. This is a strong. That corner here. And getting close to something that will be considered like finished painting, I think. Go. What's going on here? We have this other direction. Chimney on it. Slowly but surely. Oh, it really isn't a race. Here, a bit of a darkness along this blue. Go. And what's next? What's next? There are a few highlights I want to bring back, but hopefully that makes sense, right? This section starts to look like something. I like it. Let's put the tree in. Tree is going to be pretty much the easiest thing we painted here, I think. Do the good old dry brush. Oh, there's a tree there. And put in some branches, just perfect. Gives it a little bit of motion, maybe. This ended up looking really nice. Like, I really like this section here. Yeah, I think I'll give it a rest. I need to. I like this painting. It's a big mess, but I like it. Actually, the main thing we haven't yet fixed and is a disaster is this building. We'll get to that in a second. Laura, Liron, I posted a few on Discord. When I finish this piece, I'll send you an email. Yeah, email is better. I'm sorry, on Discord, it's so easy for me to miss those. Change the color composition from the reference. Love your. Yes, send me an email. I'll take a look. I'll send you my thoughts. Joshua Saunders, our friend from Saunders Watercolor. No, I'm kidding. I know you're not affiliated. Sometimes when I add more detail, it ends up looking too much. How do you solve this? Yeah, I talked a bit about this earlier. I think it's not about the amount of details, but how they look. So if they don't look good or they don't look accurate, maybe that's what bugs you. So I will say one very pragmatic approach to this is look at the detail and ask yourself, what color is it? What value? How dark or light is it? What's the shape? What's the exact shape? And then you just very slowly get these things down accurately. As long as you do that, you should be good. That's the process I'm doing here, pretty much. No. And by the way, we're all looking at this painting being built together. Someone who sees this with fresh eyes, like on Instagram or if I'll post it, will see this completely different, and I think more cleanly. Are you born and raised in Israel? Yes. I can't believe I don't know it. So no, it's okay. You spelled it like Trump pronounces it, Israel. You know, something I don't share much on YouTube is I'm pretty good at imitating, impersonating some people. I don't know why. Some people I just get it, and I can do a pretty good impersonation of them. So it's funny, but it has to come naturally, you know. And I mean, not just celebrities. I mean, like friends, family members, like everyone. It's so funny. Laura, I have actually spent more time on practice and playing with my pens than complete paintings. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever you feel like. To me, doing a complete painting is exactly the same as practicing. In fact, you're practicing the thing you want to ultimately be doing. So there's a lot of positivity about that too. Pierre, I love these reds, and finally, those colors are everywhere in Bali rooftops. I tried but failed to keep the washes going. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and you've worked probably plein air, which is harder. I find it's a lot more challenging to paint plein air. A lot more rewarding too, very often. So let's see. I do see some white highlights. So let's switch gears here. I'm gonna add these in here and there wherever I see them, and we'll see what we end up with. Then decide how we want to proceed. There's a beautiful white highlight that is so to the side, but it's so beautiful. I want to get it in. And it's this one. I'll just do it. Just so nice looking. I cannot resist, even though it's really at the edge of the painting. That's not like a best practice. I don't have enough. It should be white. It should be. That's gonna. Now it's gonna. This. I've seen another one here. This is. Go. Oh yeah, here there's this chimney-like object. Probably is a chimney. There are a few windows here I'm missing, so I might as well. And we're getting close. I think we'll start wrapping it up soon. It's good enough. Maybe I'll do like a few small touches privately and then post. Window. Get some abstract details there. Here. Yeah. I need more water. Oh. I've been working hard on my manga. It's gonna be around 200 pages. I think I will try getting it published through a publisher, or, and by the way, if you know any graphic novel publisher, that would be great help. Or I will indie publish it. Of that. But I'm making real progress. I posted in my Instagram stories. I think I just finished one of the best looking panels I've worked on so far. That makes me really happy. It looks really traditional in a way. Good screen tones look great. So I'm quite happy about that. Yeah, so I think it's time to take care of this strange building. Fuck, that looks like a Levinson rigger brush. Which one is it? Yes, it is. It's the small brown synthetic. That is correct. One of my favorites for signing paintings, for adding these small details. It's so good. It helps me not to recreate the calluses specific callus I had here on my drawing finger. That's a great added benefit. So that's a rough one. So I do see this be a little lighter. That kind of thing. Pattern. And lastly, something. Then I'll have to get in those darkest darks. I'll try getting this building all in one go. We'll see. Those here. There. Strange noise from the outside. I don't know. And then the white highlights. I may have to go get shelter. We'll see. I don't know if you could hear the booms. Can you hear this? I'm not sure. You can't tell if it's a truck dropping something or actual missiles. Okay, bye. Bye. Bye, Effa. I'm gonna close the balcony door. I don't want her to go out. Looks like we're in the clear. You can't miss it. You can't not hear the alarm. If it's gonna go off, we'll all hear it. Trust me. Unless my mic will register it as too loud and just shut it. But we're gonna hear it if it happens. So don't worry. Where was I? Oh yeah, the white. I want to get white. Really hope the alarm's not going to sound off. It's very messy, but I'll take what I can get with this strange building. I mean, if I really wanted to get it done accurately, I'll have to paint it larger. That's the it's hard to get. But I think that will have to do. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot. I'm gonna need some long vertical darks there. That will look. That's what I tried doing the first time, but it just didn't work really well. Yeah, I think that's good. Laura, I'm a book editor, and publishing through a publishing house without a literary agent is getting harder and takes way longer. My last client finally gave up and self-published. It worked out well, though. Yeah, the only thing is, I honestly think it's better to self-publish. I don't want to go through a publishing house. I just want it to be in stores. That's the thing. I want it to be accessible in stores. But with that said, you know, you have Amazon. You can get anything there, so I may just do that. I feel good about my ability to edit and format and make it look good. You know, it's may not be as professional as through a publishing house, but that doesn't worry me as much. What worries me is indeed the distribution. But yeah, might as well. I'll probably make more money if I do. Unless it's gonna get a really good distribution. Then yeah. So I'm gonna add a few small kind of mid-tier highlights, like this thing here. That bugged me for so front should be white, but not front. Yeah, front. That. Here, or are we missing? This should be a bunch of stuff I wanted to add, and now I can't. I don't want to go into too many details up here because that'll keep pretty loose. I would like to focus on this area. This is why I'm not really doing too much there up there. Yeah. Oh yeah. Back, you can see the corner of that building. Actually, here, especially. So, yes, Steve, no worries. It's you get about 30, 40 seconds to get to shelter. So I'm not really calm. My pulse went up a lot. I don't know if you'd call it heart rate or pulse. But yeah, there's enough time. People who live more to the south, they're in big trouble. They have like 10 seconds. That's crazy. And you know, if it's just me, that's fine. But Ruth, I need to make sure that she because the first thing she does is bark, not go to shelter. And I would never leave her alone. That kind of a thing is going on. Move as close as she can to the window and bark at it. Yeah, that. Let's see. I'm quite pleased actually. There was one last thing I left. What was it? Oh, let me scan first. It's interesting bit of. Felt like it. Oh yeah. That's gonna be perfect with. This is lighter, much lighter. No, it's gonna dry a little darker, and that's fine. Or I can feed it dark paint. So add a bit of the phthalo and just. So this, yeah, I'm starting to really like this. So I may just call it done for now. Maybe decide to add a few minor changes, but you've seen it all. Like you've seen it all. That's the process. This building, I still like that smooth transition, so I'm not gonna touch that one. But yeah, you've seen the whole thing. So let's see. Let's chat a bit. Let's see if you have any questions. If something bugs you about this, I'll go back and fix it. Can you move here to America? We don't have missiles here. It could be really fun to live there for a while. I don't know. It's definitely something we sometimes discuss, but I don't know. There's someone I feel like I know. Go check for missiles. It is Tembo. The brush looks like the one I just used. It is Chinese or Japanese color. Yeah. Yeah, RK, that happens. I mean, again, it's not something that happens a lot. It's once maybe a year or two. There are a few days of this, but honestly, it's mostly okay. I have a friend whose uncle's house just got hit directly by a rocket. Crazy. Like the apartment, the building, pretty much went crap. But luckily he wasn't there, so yeah, I can't believe you yeah. Read that. I miss John. Beautiful painting. Thank you for another great live stream earlier on. Stay safe, my friend. I hope and pray for peace. Thank you so much. Yep. Best thing we can hope for. Gina, I just painted and cut out 3 birds. I used color. Oh yeah, we read that. Yeah, that's awesome. First time plein air. Oh, it was your first time, Pierre. Cool. I loved it. Used Schminke transparent orange. Nice. That's useful. That's very useful. Almost as useful as my orange here on the other palette. Move to Hartlip, Kent, UK. You'd need to give up the painting though. Only room for one artist here. Yep. Missile is slightly better than painting with my sis. I like the auction idea. Oh, thank you, Buck. Yeah, I could auction this one. I mean, I think it looks good. Maybe we'll do that. The question is, how do I? Oh yeah, I know how. I set it up already on my gallery. I can actually auction a painting. Yeah, we'll do that. Jane, thank you, Liron. I'm sorry this is happening over there. Stay safe, you and Ruth. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, we're careful. We're very careful. Don't worry. But I find myself, walking her, and I'm looking at buildings to figure out where I can run into in case something happens. When I was in the military, one time I went back. I was on a bus, and then we had that kind of a thing happening. So we all ran out of the bus. I helped. I was a soldier, so I helped people evacuate. I was like, let's go through here, and I tried helping. So that was a weird experience, to say the least. But yeah, we had a really bad time in Tel Aviv too, by the way. About a year or two. That was really, but it's mostly not like that. The painting turned out great. Amazing how the details bring it to life. Thank you. Adria, oh, by the way, a couple of weeks ago when you gave me advice on the yellow-green paint, I was able to find a great one that worked for me. Cool. Which one? That's great. Yeah, that to find a good punchy green for the parts of the grass that are hit directly by sunlight is just so fun. It's just a fun experience. Oh, by the way, a couple of weeks ago, yeah, we read. Thank you, Liron. I'm sorry. Yep. So yeah, I think I'll do something interesting. So I'll let you know in a post here on YouTube and on Instagram. I'll do an auction on the gallery. It's going to be a link. You'll have to create a user because it requires to create a user, but it's really should be easy. And yeah, we'll get it going. Bazo, do you eventually get somewhat desensitized to the potential danger? Not really. I can tell you that the last time it happened, when we lived in Tel Aviv, there was like a couple of times we were sleeping, and then an ambulance siren went off, and I got up sweaty. And even just yesterday, there were two instances where it's so weird, but when you experience it a few times, and like again, I've experienced it close to 0 times. It's people who live more south. They have it really terrible. Every day is like this. But when you experience it a few times, it really does have a bit of leave a bit of a trauma. So just yesterday, there were 2 sounds that started to sound like an alarm, and one of them was an ambulance. The other, I don't even know what it was. It was like a truck starting. So it was like this. It made me jump, like visibly. Ruth was here on the sofa, and she jumped because of me, not because of the sound. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But it happens. What kind of a dog is Ruth? We actually did a test, and she is a bunch of stuff, but she's 50% Frenchy, and then a bit of Drevner and a bit of Japanese Shih Tzu. Shih Tzu is it? I don't know. And then a bit of a Belgium. Hold it. Not sure. I know in Hebrew. A mix of everything. Gino is launching the missiles from Gaza Strip. Unfortunately, shot from in the middle of civilian buildings. It's terrible. Adria, I got the green gold by Daniel Smith. It's so satisfying in light washes. Doing a gradient is amazing. So green gold did end up working. I'm gonna look it up because I may. I'll add it to my wish list on Amazon. Yeah, that looks good. That's a good, and it's also a bit of a natural green as far as I can see. Like it's not too artificial. It feels good. It feels like real sunlit grass. That's cool. Pierre, I tried Undersea Green by Daniel Smith and Belly Disaster. Mixed greens only for Undersea Green is not so good for bright greens. Undersea Green, and I actually have it here on my palette. I can show you. It's great for dark, rich greens. That's the best use. So if you're doing something that feels like a very old kind of, there we go. You can see it. You know, one of these old oil portraits that were very dark, chiaroscuro, very much in the shadow, and you want to do like a secondary color palette, get some green, some purples, here carbazole violet. It looks great for that, but not so much for bright greens. Doesn't work as well. Maybe if you add a bit of New Gamboge for the darks, it could be good for a dark green. Gina, I adore my Daniel Smith paints. Yeah, they're good. Joshua, I love how the colors are bleeding. Yep. Me too. They're great, so just satisfying. But there's no way to live, Liron. I worry about you. Migrate to Melbourne, preferably. Yeah, no. Well, life is good. Don't worry about me too. So yeah. What else? What else is going on? I wanna let me show you. Let me see if I can show you. I want to show you what I worked on in the. We can actually switch scenes, so I can just grab this camera, move over to the desk, or maybe not, because then you won't see the. I want to show you the painting too. You want me to scan the painting? I'll show it to you scanned. I don't know if it has any value, because I mean you get a good look at it here actually. Let me scan it real quick. Let's scan it and see what it looks like. If you don't mind. I'm gonna move the mic here for a second so you can at least hear me. I haven't even signed the painting, obviously, but I think it's gonna be fun. Let me move the camera here. Upside down for a second. It will be upside down for a second. So is it this setup that I'm after? Yeah, I think. Or maybe I want the. Forgot which setup I'm just using for. Okay, I know what I'll do. I will bring this back here, and we should go. You can hear me, right? And I'm gonna scan this. I'm just curious to see what it will look like. Let me get on. And I'll see here. Thank you everyone for worrying about me. I really appreciate it. I don't want to get you worried or anything. Thank you. Oh yeah, I want to show you while this is scanning. Oh yeah, we got it. I'm gonna pull it up so that we can look at the scan together. Pictures. No, documents. Scanned documents. Go. Let me. It looks. Let me just crop out the sides on Photoshop. My scanner has a tendency to turn oranges into reds, so I'm gonna correct it so that it looks as close to the original as I can. Image. Sorry, I know you can't see what I'm doing, but you'll see in a second. Adjustments. Is it replace? I'm gonna choose this one, and I'm gonna that's the color I'm after, and I want to make it more orange. Better. Okay. Here for the long teaser. Let me bring the foot. Plus. Image. Placed. Go. There we are. This is our final result. I'm gonna There we go. Looks good. There are a lot of white gaps that can drive me crazy, so maybe that's part of what I'll edit. Let me get my coffee, though. Oh, I'm still zoomed in, right? That's the thing. Drives me crazy. I think I'm still... Go better. Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah. In a second, I'll show you the manga panel. But for now, let's absorb this one. Pierre, you dismiss the experience, but art unifies the whole world and makes experiences you've just had all the more shocking and personal. Never underestimate that. Yep. Let me show you. I'm gonna open it up simultaneously on the screen, the manga panel, because I'm so proud of this. It actually looks like manga, like a Japanese comic book. So we will go to... I'm gonna crop it. Sorry for the moire effect. Moire, right? This is the thing I'm currently most proud of in my manga process. Hopefully the moire isn't too bad. There we go. Yeah, it looks good. Looks fine to me. As a panel, right, I've had more sophisticated or better drawings in general, but as a panel, as a full scene, I'm very happy about this. So yeah. Adria, the way the purple pops in the roof is cool. Yep. I like it a lot as well. The purple, the red, all the oranges, the way they interact. Looks good. I will just get rid of some of the white gaps. They annoy me. Some of the ones here I'm showing you like the orientation of where generally. Buck, could you tell exactly where your gallery is and about the user account creation? Yeah, it's under lirongallery.com. At the moment, it's set up. I still haven't set up the auction. I will. I'll let you know in a post here on YouTube. But I'll give it like a day or 2 or 3. We'll see. But so don't worry. Right now, it's set up so anyone can buy. You don't have to register or anything like that. But to do an auction, I have to change the settings so that for every purchase, one has to sign in. So just that's what I was saying. But as soon as I'll send you the link, you'll hit it, you'll see the auction, and then as soon as you want to bid, it will prompt you to create a user. So it's going to be very easy and self-explanatory. It's a Shopify store. Everything is going to be clear. But I need to set it up, though. But thank you so much. I will keep you updated. Thank you, Adria. Thank you. Bazo, do you do the manga digitally? Yes, which is why I'm very proud of how this one turned out. Because it looks almost like real screen tones. Let me try and reduce the moire as much as I can. Not sure how. I think this. But actually, in theory, it would be best to just share it in the full size so you can see it now. Hopefully, like it. I'm using Clip Studio Paint. It's the same software I had a collaboration with. I have a video with them on painting digitally. But yeah, I am using a software. I find that it mimics the real look of manga well, but I have not yet mastered getting it to feel like it was actually drawn on paper. And I love that look, so I'm trying to get it to look more like that if I can. But yeah, I like it a lot. Buffest Kermit, thank you. Hope you like it. Nancy, thank you so much. Gina, that's funny. I was enjoying the whites on the houses. Okay, cool. So maybe I'll leave them. No, it's so funny. Okay, so I've been looking on this screen for a few seconds, the one here, and now I look back on it and I registered it. Like I said, people on Instagram that see this for the first time will register it. It looked really good. It's so funny how just a bit of distance from it for a while resets it, and it looks amazing suddenly. So yeah. The panel definitely communicates a mood. Yes, thank you so much. Tembo. It is a mood, you know. It's a person who's really not seeing too much point in doing anything, trying anything, working even. It's set in a world that is not too much in the future, maybe let's say about 30, 40 years into our world's future, where everything is pretty much taken care of. You don't need to do too much to survive, you know, to get food, no rent, nothing. There's something dark brewing underneath the surface. Uh, Themes of, you know, control and just humanity and overcoming, some parenthood, and meaning, mostly meaning, I would say. So this guy has no meaning right now. Has nothing really that makes him try hard or do anything. So yeah, that's one of the moods, and of course it's going to be a part of a page, and it'll make more sense. But yeah, I absolutely love the way this turned out so far. I got it. This one I got exactly the way I wanted to. Let me zoom in on the face a bit, because faces are that every small change you make makes a world of difference. I find, with expressions and, you know, all of that. So I'm very happy that I managed to capture, you know, exactly as I want. Very happy with it. The screen tones is the reason I asked, since it looks like traditional stuff. Yeah, Bazo, the screen tones are actually the easy part to mimic. It's more the inking that's the problem. I have a real G pen, like the pen that manga artists use. I can make something look very professional if I, let's say, if I use a lot of references, or I imitate an existing manga artist, I can make it look good. You'll think that a professional, because that's pretty much what I am, I think, but you'll think a professional manga artist made it. So I know what it looks like when you use an actual G pen on paper. So I know when I look at this where it doesn't look like that. So I'm very happy that this one does look good in terms of inking. Joshua, do you think digital art will take over? No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not stopping with watercolor. I love watercolor. I find that I enjoy, and even sketching on paper, it's more enjoyable to me. It's just more efficient and effective and cheap to do it digitally. Honestly, it's just easier, because one of the biggest advantages, I think, for digital is sometimes what you drew is super accurate, but you just need to move it. So for example, the eye looks really good, but it's wrong placement. So instead of erasing the whole thing, I can just select it and move it exactly to where I want. That's a huge advantage. That undo erasing, I don't need to buy paper. I don't need to store original art that was done on paper. I don't need to scan. I don't need to do any of that. So it's way more effective. It's way faster, cheaper, everything. That's why I'm doing it digitally. There will be some colored pages, and those I actually will do with watercolor. I want to do those with watercolor. So that's going to be fully traditional, right? But yeah. I love traditional. Is not going anywhere. I mean, it's the experience of making it. It doesn't matter how effective the digital tool is. People will still want the experience of working traditionally. It's physical. You can touch it. It's so much more real in many ways, you know? I think his eye is too much to the front. I think I should move it a little to this direction, maybe. Jane, very cool panel. What genre is your manga? So it's going to be mostly action drama, but also a bit of sci-fi. That's pretty much the genre. The setting is sci-fi, but at the heart of it is a story of people, and how they deal with different situations, emotions, and all of that. Adrian, I'm not a manga person, but your art has me intrigued. Can't wait to see more. Thank you. Yeah, so, you know, right now the trajectory is I'm going to publish this independently. It takes a long time. I managed to do a maximum of 1 page per day, and not every day. So maybe 3 days of the week, maybe 4. And I have about 200 pages to work on. So that amounts to, I guess, more than a year, probably, to draw the whole thing. 2 years, probably. So it's going to take a while. Some panels are going to be much more complex. I'm working right now on panels I already planned, and I'm just mostly finalizing them. It'll probably take me 2 days to produce 1 page, so maybe 3 a week. So it's going to take a while, but I'll continue, you know, sharing the results and where I'm at, and And as soon as you can get it on Amazon, I'll definitely let you know. I'll need to do some experimentation though, because I never really printed a graphic novel in something like Amazon. So I'll need to test it out and make sure the quality looks good and all of that. Thank you, Adria. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Gina, that sounds great. No rent, that would help so many. Yes, it does in this story too, but it creates new problems. Problems don't necessarily stem from that directly, but it's just human nature. You know? Bazo, reseeing the painting with new eyes. I'm taking oil painting classes with a group, and when I take breaks, I like to go see what others paint. Helps get a fresh look. Yeah, that's so true, and it's so funny because you look at their work and you never think about all the things they do. They dislike this and that, and they notice all the mistakes. You don't. You don't. So it's interesting. Adria, housing for all. Jane, traditional art just feels different, more grounded. Yeah. Yeah, no need to tell you again, but manga art is anti-art, anti-literature, anti-reading. I hate it. It's not just the art. First off, I love manga art. So I disagree. I think it's a very unique skill. Honestly, it's much harder to create a dynamic manga panel than it is for me to paint this thing here. Because this thing, I create, it's more about, I have a filter, and I create it through that filter. When you invent things, when you compile a lot of concepts together and you need to actually tell a story visually, it's a completely different ballgame. And I think it's very impressive when someone is able to do that. And I will say, so purely from a storytelling perspective, I find it very impressive. But even if you remove that aspect, just the art as it is, I think manga artists, some of them are incredible. The art is so good. It's so dynamic. Let me show you one. So everyone knows Vagabond. Vagabond is a very well-known manga. It has very well-known art too. And you can't argue that it looks amazing. So, what would be the best way to share this? Let me try. I don't even know if that's the original art by the artist, but that's an extreme example, though. You'll see in a sec. But I'm looking in particular at original panels from the manga. And I'll show you. You know, artistically speaking, it's impressive. Really impressive. Oh, I'm choosing, two very specific examples, honestly. But I love how I'm drowning in pictures. Surrounded by them. Which one? Yeah. Okay, so look at this one, for example. This is incredible. This is from Vagabond. I believe it's about the samurai or just sword warrior Miyamoto Musashi. But look at this thing. Let me show you another one. That's just undeniable. That's so good. Here's another one. So this one is a cleaner, less tones. But the way it's so dynamic in the background and everything, and it tells a story. Now Berserk, why not? Check this one out. Example. All of Berserk panels should be framed and hung up in the museum. It's amazing. So yeah, I can only right now I can pretty much only dream of creating something that comes close to this, especially digitally, because I'm not accustomed. I think I have a better chance of doing it traditionally, but that's the aspiration, for it to look this good. That'll be amazing. Sorry, I missed tons of Adria. Something I do is take a drawing and Photoshop it with my iPad and put it into Procreate to map out my color palette. Yep. Thank you, Sujanith. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yep. Same here. Daiji, trillion percent agree. I started out on traditional drawing, so there's an element of bias, but there's something organic, sense of connection when working with traditional media. Yep, I agree. Oh yeah, Junji Ito is amazing. I gave me nightmares. I've had an original manga by Junji Ito. I think I lost it somewhere. I have no idea where it is. It was at my parents' place when I lived there. I bought it once, and it's so good. It was Uzumaki, specifically. The and even if you look at, so let me show you one I recently discovered. It's a really creepy story. It's called Blood on the Tracks. Um, so it feels almost like the artist sketched a lot of it with. First off, he's doing watercolors for the colored pages, which is incredible. But also, it feels like he's sketching it with like a nib pen or something, and it looks so good. Let me show you. Because I'm reading it right now. I don't remember. I'm like chapter 70 out of 140. Maybe. So if you look at something like this, right? The way he's doing the tones and it's very cinematic. It's very feels almost like a movie. But let's zoom in a bit. Look at how like everything is just pen sketches, and it's so good. I love it. His expressions are fantastic. But yeah, this is good. So there's a bunch of these that I love. So I can only aspire to at some point do something of similar quality. I feel like that's where I'm with watercolor. So if I apply myself the same way, I'll get there. Hopefully. Gina, I drew manga faces when I first started my art journey. They are awesome. Did it easy. Oh, that's cool. Daiji love the details. I'm a sucker for line art. Yeah, same here, man. These backgrounds are indeed amazing. Buzzo, what about other types of ink-based styles, like Chinese ink wash? So it could be interesting to ask about maybe American comic books and ink, but like Chinese ink wash, I don't know. I like it. I like it a lot. I like ink in general. I like its flow and its directness. I actually really like pen and ink in general. I haven't found a good way to incorporate it with watercolor. I don't know if I will. I don't know if I want to. We'll see. But I love ink wash. All of this wet in wet process with ink. I love it. It's really fun. Pierre, I've gone anti-Procreate when I used to use it for everything. Started to trust my sketches, so I suppose I'm going anti-digital. And you taught me that. Here's the thing. So I definitely enjoy more. There's a separation there. I actually agree with you on some stuff. I definitely enjoy painting more traditionally than any digital medium. Painting in Clip Studio Paint, Photoshop. It's completely different. Procreate, it's not the same thing. Watercolor is miles above that. What I do find more efficient and more productive for me is sketching digitally. Painting, if you talk about this, for sure, I'm not moving over to digital, not even close. Maybe it's me, maybe it's my inability to use digital for that in the same way, but it can't compete. For me, I much prefer watercolor. If anything, by the way, digital feels to me more like acrylics and oils, which I don't enjoy. Acrylics and I just don't like the process. And digital is the same. Even digital watercolor, so far I haven't seen anything that really worked for me that way. And watercolor is very hard to mimic. I just don't like these media, and digital just feels like that. So to me, it's definitely about the sketching that works better digital, but not the painting. Steve Mills, drawing manga must be like directing a film, but harder. What with not being able to control music, tone of voice, and how long? Yeah, so that doesn't bother me as much. The fact that I can't add sound or stuff like that. The one thing that's very hard, and you touched upon, is very true. Is it's just like directing a movie, and when you draw a scene, you need to think about like what's the angle, what's the camera angle, where's the person standing, how can I communicate the idea I'm after. It's so hard for me sometimes to just imagine a scene and just figure out, okay, the story moves along and there's text and there's a conversation taking place, but what angle should I show them from? from above, from below. It's so hard for me to do that. That's why I'm so proud of this panel in particular, because I captured it exactly as I wanted to. By the way, do I have an export of the entire page? I'm not sure, because I can show you the entire page. The rest is just still in sketch form. I can just re-export. I want to show you the entire page because it really is an achievement for me. Let's see, file, export JPEG. No, not JPEG. For a single layer. Oops, I'm not on the right page. That work. Export. Now it's gonna work. To exports. Full. I want page 8. Sorry, full. I want to show you the full page. It's gonna take a second to export. For watercolor portrait is an insult. Yep, I agree. Okay, let me show you the full page. You get a scoop here, because you've been here with me all along this live stream. I really appreciate it. Manuscript exports. Okay, so this is the full page, and it has also the panel that you see right now. Gonna take a second to minimize. But now you get to see it zoomed in. Resizing images in oh, nightmare. Sure, there's a better solution, but I yet to find it. Okay, there we go. So hopefully you can see it well. That's the page. This goes outside the border, so it's going to be cropped. The top left panel, what you see right here, the edge here is going to be sharp. Obviously, it's going to bleed from outside the page. I just didn't crop it now, but that's how it's going to work. Let's get rid of, where is it? Whatever. This. What is that? What file is that? Why am I so lost? Okay, I'll get rid of that. So yeah, if we zoom in a bit, see here, we have the first panel. So he's basically walking out of the place he was in. Right here. Walking out is from above. Taking a look there. And then looking here, there's going to be some text here, just looking at this starry sky. And I really like this. This is the reason I'm doing a story. I feel like I managed to capture the flow here really well, like a director. To capture the idea like I wanted it to be. And of course, there's going to be text bubbles as well. So yeah, very happy with it. I finished pages 4, 5, 6, 7. This is page 8. And then pages 1, 2, and 3 are going to be watercolor. So I'm going to paint them on a real paper, hot press probably, so that it's smooth and I can ink. Or maybe I'll scan and then ink, or maybe I won't ink. We'll see. Probably won't ink, actually. So then I'll be done with this. There's about 200 pages, so there's a long way to go, as you can deduce. Joshua, what is your favorite ink brand? I actually don't have one. For this, for manga traditional, I use the Liter ink. I have it here. I have it right here. This is what I use if I work traditionally. I just don't usually. Again, digital is more effective for me. So this is the Liter Black number 4. Black ink number 4. That's what I used for the dip pen. Yep. That's actually a good question. Jane Hopper, comics or manga is very much like filming a movie, yes. Bazo, I really love the tactile feeling of painting. Oils feels even better than watercolor. After that, digital feels like plain but efficient diet. Yeah, I get it. For me, oils, I didn't try them enough, but same thing. It's hard for me to mix and apply. And mix and apply. I need to just do a wash. I love washes. Pierre just meant for sketching, not watercolor. For watercolor, yeah, I agree. Adria, yeah, I enjoy physical more than digital. I spent some time doing it, but it just isn't the same. I like having a tangible item that I can hang on the wall when I'm done. Yeah, that's true as well. Of course, you can always like do a professional print. It'll look great, but the idea that it's a print, yes, it feels a little different, I admit. Um, Here, I'm moving to a fountain pen without lifting the nib. Makes it so real. I'm loving a fountain pen without lifting the nib. What do you mean without lifting the nib? Not sure. But yeah, fountain pens are great. Gina, I love all the mediums, but watercolor got me hooked. Line and sinker. Same here. Also, I feel that figuring out camera angles and such for manga is very similar to storyboarding, which is basically directing. Yeah, essentially, manga is once you do a storyboard. Once you're done with the story, it's exactly the same. It's a very similar skill too. Once you're done with the storyboard, you add the text. The one difference is storyboards, the final image is going to be like a screen, right? It's going to be 9:16 proportions or whatever it's going to be, theater. The difference is with manga, the shapes of the panels do matter. So not only do you think about the contents of the panels, you think about how can I tell the story with the shape of the panels themselves. The shape, the arrangement, Berserk is the best thing for that. Kentaro Miura has such a great way to tell stories with the shape of the panels, the way he fades them. It's brilliant. It's genius. Here, what you see here is it's very simplistic, right? It's just a few panels, but I did want this one to be open, right? So it's going to be open fully behind the others, so to speak. The sizes of them, one is more impactful. All of these things, yeah, it's things you think about. But the skill itself is very similar to storyboarding, pretty much the same. So Janith, I use oils, pastels, gouache, and watercolor. Each has its own charm, but the glow of watercolor can be same in any other medium. Yeah, and you keep going back to watercolors, so it means something, Steve, I was reading Chris Ware graphic novel that hammered it home to me how creating this stuff was like directing a film. I never got that feeling reading Mouse or Marvel comics. Interesting. Chris Ware, that's the... Okay, yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I'm not familiar with this, but yeah. Marvel and DC also, I think they have this thing where it doesn't feel cinematic. It's like almost the meta of what's going on, and they don't make use, I think, of the medium fully, and they love to cram tons of text. I feel like I like it better when it feels like a movie, and I love when there's a lot of art and a bit of text. So I scroll through or flip through the pages real fast because I want to know what's going on. And I jump through the text bubbles. The art is sort of accompanying it. It's to me, I enjoy that kind of a thing much more. It feels more dynamic, more, motion. I love it. Gina, I fell in love with glazing with oils. Alizarin Crimson was beautiful in oils. Cool. I think I just didn't try oils enough. I may like them eventually. Artistic Ren. I love oil and pastel, and I'm learning watercolor. It seems more challenging so far. Yeah, I can't compare. I don't know. It could be. I only have experience with watercolor. I know oils isn't like an easy medium necessarily. It has a learning curve. I would argue that watercolor doesn't necessarily have a huge learning curve. It has a decent one. Steve Mills, you see two birds on a phone line in one panel, then the next panel is identical, then a panel with one bird, then one with the same bird but with the head turned, then a panel with empty wire, for example. Yeah, I googled Chris. It's really cool. I wasn't even familiar, honestly, with this style, but it's really cool. It feels almost like the brochures you get on airplanes of like the safety manual instructions. Only cool. Only really, really cool. Here, never lift a pen, go back, draw. Oh, I see what you mean. That's cool. Yeah, that's fun. That's a fun thing to do. Alfred Hitchcock introduced the storyboard, so he said all his films were made before the camera. Oh, that's interesting. Manga reminds me of that. A dumbed down art to the real creative process. Not really to me. I'll tell you what, I really do feel like it's a medium in its own. Something about, and I put comic books generally in the same category, whether it's Western or Japanese or, Korean manhwa. It's its own medium. I feel like it's like a cartoon, like music, like painting. It's just a medium. It's a storytelling medium. I actually enjoy it more than film. And the way I know this is if I just review, how much time I spend reading manga versus watching films. Spend more time reading manga. So yeah. Buff asks Kermit, Liron, did you say your manga panel was done in Clip Studio Paint? And do you use screenless tablet to draw? I currently have a Wacom tablet with no screen, and it's so hard to get used to it. Yeah, I'm using Clip Studio Paint, which is great for that. Now, honestly, if you can't afford or you don't want to get it, that's fine. You can get a lot done in other ways. As for screen, I do have a screen actually, and if I just rotate it and show it to you, there you go. This is exactly what I'm working on. I'm working on a Huion canvas. It's actually not that expensive. It's an older model by now. Huion Canvas 16 Pro. That's what I'm using. It's not a big screen. It's about, let's see how it translates to. So it's about A3 in size. It's a different proportion, but about A3 if you compare it to paper sizes. The screen, to me, I never tried. I tried once screenless, and before trying it, I thought to myself, it's impossible. But after trying it and looking at the screen and seeing my cursor move, I realized that it actually is possible, but I'm sure it's harder. I'm sure it's harder than with a screen. So yeah, if you're serious about it, I would get like a cheaper tablet that is a screen. The Huion Canvas works well. It's not as expensive as a Wacom. So I'd probably get something similar. I really like it. I got lucky with this one. Someone was selling it. He posted on a local drawing and painting group, and I just went for a drive to Jerusalem, bought it from him directly. It was almost new, so I got it for the same price one would get it in the US, which is very hard to get here. Things are way more expensive here, unfortunately. Pierre, confession. I went to film school. I'm a dinosaur, but I don't see beauty in manga. Yeah, it's okay. I think it's really a matter of your palette and how you developed it. I don't see as much beauty in American comic books, and some people completely disagree and hate manga and love Western style. So I totally get it. As a kid, I remember one time, for example, I love European comic books, by the way, not West. I won't make the generalization of Western because Asterix, I love Asterix. I used to read a lot. We talked about this a couple of times in live streams. I love Asterix. I used to read quite a lot of it. I loved Tintin. There were a few others. And as a kid, one time in the library, I remember I found, I believe it was Dick Tracy. Is that the detective? I found a Dick Tracy comic book, and I was hooked. I think I'm not really into superhero American comics, but I do love all the rest. Yeah, I think it was Dick Tracy, and I loved it. Just a comic book. It had this, I don't know, mouse character guy, Rat. I think that's a character, right? Rat. I don't know if that's a thing. If I could find the exact same cover of the exact same comic book I read, that would be amazing. But yeah, I remember looking at it with bright, starry eyes, for sure. But then manga came along, and that's when, in high school and junior high, I just started reading Naruto, which is a very basic entry-level manga, and it rolled from there, and then anime, and that's the taste I acquired. Sujanith, thank you for this chat. Despite the stress you are going through, Liron, thank you so much, Sujanith. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you in the next live stream. Danish Reyes, great work. Thank you so much. Ooh, nice. Thank you. You got it, Buff-S Kermit. Artistic Ren, I guess I find the layering process of watercolor to be the most challenging. I end up with mud a lot. Yeah, there's something to be said about, and I barely did any videos on this topic. This is one thing I don't think I ever really talked about, and that is the order of the layers. If you start with one color, then you move on to another color. But if you flip it, it's going to look different. So it's really tricky. It's something I haven't even thought about enough myself. So yeah, maybe in the future I will talk a bit about it once I have some insights, but I barely think about it, honestly. One of my cars for the car challenge, I painted in thin glazes. So there's a yellow glaze and a red glaze and a blue and a green, and it looks great. It was the diagonal one, if you remember. If you really have seen all of them, you know which one I'm talking about. It'll be a nightmare to find a specific one, but yeah, and that ended up working well. But sometimes I'll get mud too. I'll get just a brown gray, and that's it. So I get it. I get you. Daiji, I have the non-screen Huion tablet. I didn't know there was a non-screen version of Huion. Cool. There was some learning curve, but it's not so bad. No neck cramps from stooping over my work. Yeah, that must be an advantage because I'm really like down there sketching really up close to the tablet. Haven't thought of that actually. Interesting. Maybe it's even better. Jane Hopper. Johnny Quest and Shazam were the very first comics I saw. It was my grandpa's. Oh, that's cool. Johnny Quest, I think I'm familiar with. I'm not sure. Shazam, of course, I'm familiar. Johnny Quest. Let's see. Oh yeah, I know Johnny. Very different from the more Marvel style. Joshua, would it be better to start with Procreate to get into digital art? It's very interchangeable. I think all of the digital software, it's just a mental switch. I think you'll benefit from even Photoshop. It doesn't really matter as long as you experience the digital creation process. I honestly think you could start with whatever you want. I would start with the cheapest option. I think Procreate is cheaper than most, right? You also have Krita, but I think there are free alternatives too. So I'd honestly check them out as well. Gina, Jerusalem, how cool to be able to drive there. I'm Christian, so I love learning about your country. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Yeah, Jerusalem. I spent a lot of time in Jerusalem. You'll get a kick out of it, Gina. I've experienced Jerusalem every way possible. I actually don't like the city as much. Not because of the religious. First off, yes, the fact that all religions have interest in Jerusalem. I don't know if all, but definitely Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. It's a mess. The city is a mess. It's a mess in terms of the feel, the vibe, the conflicts. That I couldn't live there. I did serve in the military there. I was in the Central Command. It's a base there. I spent a lot of time in Jerusalem. We used to go out a lot. There's open bases and closed bases. So open bases, basically you go back home every day like a day job. Closed bases, you stay there and you come back over the weekends only. I spent more than a year there, as an officer. It was an interesting experience. We were close friends. We went out all the time to Jerusalem just for dinner, pubs, whatever you want. Because you finish the day. That's the thing. A lot of people prefer a closed base because when it's an open base, yes, you do get to be home every day. But the all the time you spend driving and all of that, public transportation, getting up every morning and having to take a bus or a train to the base. When you're in a closed base, you get up, eat breakfast, kind of relaxed. Start work. You just wake up, you leave the what do you call it, dormitory or whatever it is. You just go to your office. Of course, that's assuming you're not a fighter. Fighter is completely different. I wasn't a fighter. I had an office job, and then when the day ends at around 5, 6, you tend to work a little late if you're at a closed base, but then you're done. You can go do whatever you want. So we used to go out a lot. I used to spend a lot of time with the unit next door. I'd have a lot of friends there too. So I just go over, sit down and interrupt their work, basically. So it's an interesting experience. Yeah, I experienced Jerusalem to its fullest. So yeah. Steve, I'm having to cut out too, needing to get in my daily walk before dinner, doctor's orders. Oh yeah, definitely do that. Thanks for this podcast. Great painting advice and interesting chat about manga as an art form. Yeah, definitely. My voice is starting to get tired, so I think we'll wrap it up now. It's a good opportunity. I will thank you so much, everyone here. It's amazing. We still have a lot of people still stuck around. I hope you enjoyed this painting process. I will maybe do a few finalized touches. I won't get rid of the whites. I think they're nice, the white gaps. But I may add a few small details, maybe up top there, a few buildings. And then I'll put it on auction. I'll let you know. I'll give you some time. I'll post it here, Instagram, everywhere. It's going to be fun. I'm curious to just see someone like win it and then, it's not free, but hopefully a better price than than the things currently on the gallery, because I increased my prices. It's very hard for me to say goodbye. I put there the best of the best. I don't put paintings that I don't like, so it's very hard for me to say goodbye to my paintings. I will admit that. But yeah, thank you so much. Be sure to check out the courses, books, whatever it is, helps me keep the lights on. Feed Ruth. So if you are looking for how to draw a book, I have a bunch of them on Amazon. If you're looking for how to draw or how to paint courses, you can find the links below. If you want to get a painting, a little more expensive, but if that's it's a great source of inspiration, can be. But I guess thank you so much. Sending you all the best regards. Thank you, Daiji. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Buck, everyone. We'll talk to you again real soon. Until next time, take care and keep creating.